right. Does that work? I think that worked. All right. So, this shouldn't take too long, but we are working with an organization right now called ATL MAP, and they're an entity that is put together by both Georgia State University and Emory University, and they're helping us create a map of Cabbagetown. And the way this map works is that they can create multiple maps that focus on different history of the neighborhood. So it's not just like about the houses and the topography or, the landscape and everything, but they can also create a map of people and people's experiences. So one of the things that we are focusing on right now is water. We're trying to figure out, because there isn't a lot of documentation on this, but we're trying to figure out what water sources in the neighborhood were like, especially before the city of Atlanta started supplying water to the neighborhood. So we were talking to some people who, yes, ma'am.
I remember we didn't have to pay a water bill when we lived in the mill houses, because now, I was told this by my dad,
Okay.
And Floyd knows about this, my brother. There's something over at the mill. They made their own water. It's like a underground thing, what do you call it? Me and Floyd was just talking about that the other day, because I said I would love to be coming out of that mill right now and have my brown paper sack and get me some of that chipped ice. We had good water. It was good. It was, what do you call that? It's like it's underground. What's that to think of? Now, me and them was just talking about the water the other day when me and them was together. It was like, it was from the mill, but we didn't have no hot water. We had to boil the water, to wash clothes with, to take a bath with. We had to boil water on the wood stoves, and we didn't have water like we have today. And we had no gas lines, I was probably about, I'm saying we moved to Brent Avenue when I was 7, so I was probably about 10 or 11 or more than that when they run the gas lines down through there for us to even have gas to have hot water. You know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am. Did you have a well, or do you know of any people around the neighborhood?
It's like an artesian well up under the mill, at the mill. It's what my brother said, Do you have to pay a water bill now over at the mill?
Yes. Everything,
Well, see, we didn't have to pay a water bill back in our day, when we were growing up, because we had water from that well. I mean, it was like a underground well. I was little and I didn't understand all that back then.
Sure.
We wasn't having to pay a water bill. But the mill supplied our water some way. I don't know how it was, because I was small and I didn't understand it. But I know we didn't have to pay no water bill. All we had to pay was the light bill, and we didn't have no gas, and so we didn't pay no gas bill, because we had to get coal and from the coal yard up there on the corner of Powell Street and Wiley. There was a coal yard up there.
Yes.
And, that's the only way I know that they said they was an, artesian well down up there on the mill, up under the mill, you know, in the ground.
Yeah. Did you ever get to see it?
No, I mean, I never saw it. You know, even when I worked there, I never saw it. But I know I got the ice. I got me a bag of ice every morning when I come out of that mill because I worked night shift. I mean, it was good. It was good.
Did you happen to know anybody working in the with the steam engine or in that boiler house?
No, I didn't.
No.
I probably did back then, but I can't remember. You know, that part because I never did go to the boiler room. You know.
Right.
We was you know, we was allowed to come in and go to our floor and go to work. You know, because as soon as them lights flashed, we had to be on our job. Right. We had to be there, right there then, when the lights flashed, where we could take over the job where it wouldn't start running out of fiddling or whatever, you know. If you come in that mill before you're supposed to, you know, you had to come. Like if I come to see my grandma or something, you know, she worked over on the mill on the side of Carroll Street. Well, I worked over on the side of Boulevard. So I had a long walk. See, they had 3 mills over there. They had number 1 mill, number 2, and number 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my grandma and them worked in one. And I worked in one at Boulevard too, and then I worked at the one in number 3 too. It was a weave shop.
And that was in the back of everything closest to the train tracks, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And did you go through the front entrance off of Boulevard when you would go to work?
Oh yes, that's how I came through Boulevard. Boulevard right there. You know where they got it all locked down now, got all that stuff up at the gate that I come through when I worked there.
Yeah.
My mom and dad and them could go through the side there of they had a side gate. It run into Fenwick Street, which ain't no Fenwick Street no more. But it run off of Fenwick Street. You could come up to Shelton Street and walk right into the gate there. They had 2 gates that you could come in and out.
One on Boulevard and one there on
right, it was right there on it was Fenwick, you know. You could come up from Leon's store. Yeah. That street by Leon's store, and you could go into that gate. You'd make a right up there on Fenwick and go in the gate right there.
Cool. Do you remember possibly any open water, any creeks or anything around the neighborhood?
We had faucets. I mean, we had them like we got, now see, we had, when I was growing up, Jay, I lived down Savannah Street. And like if it snowed or froze our pipes up, we had to turn them off, and we had one outside that we got our water out of. And the alley, we called it the alley. we had a coal yard a coal thing back there to keep our coal in, And then we had that faucet back there to get the water if our water froze up in the house.
Oh, so you had water outside of your house that you could get out of a
faucet.
And that faucet ran down into was that from a well or?
It was just right there in our backyard. You know, like between. If you went between 147 Savannah Street and that house next to 147, there was an alley there. And we had our coal yard back there. I mean, a coal bin where you kept coal, and then the faucet was right back there. If we, you know, like it don't make sense, but this is the truth. If our house froze, the water in the house froze up, then we could go out there and get water. Cause we had to cut our water off on the inside and use that out there. Now don't ask me why we had to do that, but we did cause I was little, you know, when we lived up there. But anytime it snowed or we had real cold weather and the pipes froze, then, you know, we had no water in the house, but we could go outside at that hydrant. And there was more than one, you know, back there.
Okay.
Because they was like, see right there at the corner of Tenelle,
yes,
Lee's Carroll Street, there used to be 2 or 3 houses set right there. There used to be 2 or 3 houses set there, and then you come into Savannah Street. And then we also had a playground there. We had swings and all of that back there. We had the meal furniture, like swings and seesaws and all that back there.
Leon mentioned that earlier today, that between, I guess there would have been the Salvation Army, and that, what was a church, and behind that,
the church.
Mm-hmm. And behind that would have been a small playground, or a playground.
Yeah,
kit.
It was a playground because it had swing sets, seesaws. Oh, Lord, let's see what all was back there. It was more than seesaws and playground. But it was just a nice playground, you know, and it was sit right behind our house up there on Savannah Street. We could just go out our back door and go right to the playground. And like I said, the water spigot, that's what they called it back then, the water spigot. It sat right behind our backyard too, in case our water pipes froze.
And what year would that have been about?
Well, I was 7 years old, and so I was born in 34. 34, 35, 36, 38, 39, 40, 41. But I mean, they was back there when, you know, the whole time we lived there, I'm quite sure, because we, like I said, we lived there till I was 7 years old, and then we moved to Marin Avenue. And,
right.
And you know what? I don't remember no water spigots being down there in our yards on Marin Avenue. You know, they called it water spigot, but I know we used to have to get just to fill our bathtubs up with water for like not for cooking, but for you know, us taking a bath. You know, we had to take a bath in number 3 tub in the winter time, because our bathroom was on the back porch and no heat.
Oof. That'll wake you up.
Hey, I tell you what, we finally had it rough growing up.
So when just a couple more questions, if I may.
Yeah.
So when you were working in the mill, and you were saying, obviously when you were working, but you would get that ice at the end of your shift. Where were they? Where would you get that ice? Where were they getting it at?
Okay. They had a big old thing, oh my Lord. Right where you go in there on Boulevard,
Yeah.
that gate that you went in on Boulevard.
Yeah.
Well, it was right around, because see, I worked in the weed shop right there on Boulevard. If you looked out the window, I could see Boulevard,
Yeah.
But when I come out of the mill, out of the weed shop, I would turn to my left, and there would be a big old thing up there where the ice was at, and you just have your sack or whatever, and anybody want it, and see, and they had it too for they had big buckets where if we brought drinks, into work, we would have something to keep them cold. They'd have a big old bucket, for us to put our drinks in. And we'd put ice in from that machine. It wasn't no machine, it was just a big old, it was a great big thing, like built into the wall of the mill.
Built into the wall. Cool. Like a freezer?
Built in, if you just open this door, open like you went to a restaurant.
Yes.
And you open this thing, and there would be the ice. But it was a great big humongous one.
Wow. And so they had a big freezer.
Yeah, well it was coming from, like my brother said, it was coming from that artesian well that was up under the mill. So he studied all that stuff too, because he used to be over he's the one that got kind of like the habitat started. The people over there that couldn't afford to get their houses fixed and all.
Yeah.
He started that up back in, I can't remember what year that was, but he stayed with that, and he went to all them meetings downtown Atlanta, like probably y'all go to, or whatever. But he collected a lot of money to get a lot of them people's houses fixed. Kind of like the habitat.
Yeah.
He was in that for years. My brother Floyd was.
Wow, I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah. Now he would tell you how much money he collected for that community and everything. And him and my dad would fix the houses, and different ones, Yeah, I tell you what, he's one you need to talk to about all that, because he was all into getting them houses fixed up over there.
Yeah. Oh man. But I mean, what you're telling me is also fantastic. This is good. I love your stories.
See, you know what, Jake? And this is the truth. I get so mad about that Facebook, about when people put stuff out there, and they don't know what they're talking about, and you try to explain it to it, and they try to say this way. If you didn't live it, you didn't know it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
If you did not live back in them ages and them times, I don't guess people would believe it. But we had it rough, I tell you. Never went hungry, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But we never had it like the days, kids. And that's what's wrong with them. We didn't have the toys and, we got a pair of skates for Christmas. That's what we got for Christmas. I'm 84, we'll be in December. I've never had a bicycle in my life. Never.
Oh. Well, would you like a bicycle?
You gonna buy me one?
I would love to give you a bicycle.
But I'm just saying, we never had the stuff like kids have today. And they don't even appreciate what they have,
Yeah. Well, I have to honestly say I've never taken a cold bath in the middle of winter on my back porch. That would be
well,
something.
You know what? We took it in the kitchen.
Okay.
But still, and we had to wash clothes over the scrub boards in them bathtubs. Like that bathtub down there at the patio in the house that y'all got the patch in there. Well, we had to lean over scrub boards and wash clothes with scrub board out of the bathtub like that. And then run that water out and rinse twice. My mama, you had to rinse your clothes twice. Mama wouldn't have it no other way. But I'm telling you, we had it rough. We got it made now with washing machines and all this stuff, and we lived there. When we moved off of Savannah to Berean, we moved in that house where Bertha lives, but it had the porch all the way around it, and it had the roof around it then. I don't know how she got by with the city with taking that off. I really don't. But my job was I had to carry water from the bathroom, from the bathtub, and scrub that porch every Friday. It had to be scrubbed every Friday. And that was my job.
Yeah.
I had to scrub it every Friday, carry water. And we didn't have we didn't have the things like they have today, my mama, Daddy would buy that lye soap, would wash her clothes in lye soap, and it's just, it's amazing how we all lived as long as we have.
Well, it made you tougher.
Between the cotton mill, working in the cotton mill, and then raising your family. And my daddy was lucky enough he got on at the freight line in his latter part. He worked 2 jobs, and then finally, the mill closed down. He just happened to be working at the freight line when the mill did close down, and he had a job. But we were all grown and married at that time.
Oh, okay. So he was working at the freight line in the late 70s?
Mill both.
Mm-hmm.
He was working at the freight line like at night, some nights, maybe 2 or 3 nights a week. Because he worked a day shift, and he'd get off at maybe 2 or 3 o'clock, and he'd come home, lay down for an hour or 2, and then get up and go to work the mill from 7 to 3, and then come home, lay down if he had to work at the freight line. He wouldn't have to be there till 5,
Wow. That's a lot of work.
I'm telling you. People didn't have it made easy over there. People might think we did, but we didn't. But I don't think no cotton mill village had it made. I mean, because they didn't pay you nothing. I made $1 an hour. I worked 40 hours and made $40. And that was hard work, Jake, up there in that weed shop. All of it was hard work. And when I got over in the sewing room, what they call the sewing room, the towel department, sewing towels, that was pretty good, you know, because we did get a lunch break and we did get 2 15-minute breaks. But in the cotton mill part, you didn't get no break. If you couldn't eat and go, you didn't get no, I've stayed up for many 8 hours and not get to go to the bathroom or eat.
That's,
in the cotton mill side.
that is tough.
Yeah, it is, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
I tell you, that was some hard work. I said, you know what, Jake? If they just left the cotton mill open, just one cotton mill, I don't think there would be so much crime if they would put them up in the cotton mill and let them work for a while. They'd be glad to get out and get them a job.
That's right. You're teaching some responsibility.
Exactly. And it would teach you that you had to work for a living. You couldn't get out here and steal.
That's right.
Take from other people.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I mean, it's, you know, sometimes people really need to like understand how hard it is to do those types of jobs, and makes them appreciate other things in life and gives them a sense of respect and respect for other people, respect for hard work.
Adam said something about them people wanting some pictures. I got pictures of me from when I was like 6, 7, 8 months old, and then one when I was like 7 years old, and you know, we didn't get to get a lot of pictures made. But I do have my baby picture, and then when I was like me and my sister up on Savannah Street, and you know, and then you got to start taking pictures then.
But I would love.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying I would love to see what you look like as a little girl. It would be great.
Like I look now, I still got the same smile. Just straight-headed. But I was going to buy one, you know, one, y'all still open on Sundays?
We are. We're going out of town for a week.
Okay.
And so we leave tomorrow. We're going to South Carolina. We're going to be back the following Saturday.
Okay.
But yeah, normally we are open on Sundays, but not this weekend.
Yeah. Well, y'all, I'm telling you what, y'all go all the time. I see y'all here and y'all there on the Facebook. I'm going to have to start traveling with you and Nina.
Please. Please.
Y'all seem like y'all having the best time.
We are. We are. We're having a good time.
Well,
It's fun because, I mean, I love hearing about this stuff. You know, I can't get enough of it. And I really respect it.
But you know what? That is good. That is good that you and her can do that. Because I tell you what, the last, my husband that passed away, me and him we was goers and doers, you know. I mean, when I was off, we wasn't at home. We'd get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, drive all the way down to Panama City, Florida, and lay on the beach all day long, and leave from down there about 8 o'clock, and then I get back home, get me a few hours sleep, and go to work because I worked up on Memorial Drive, right next to Adam. You know where the Mexican restaurant is up there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that used to be a little grocery store. And I worked there for years, you know, but me and him was always going somewhere.
Oh, on the corner of Memorial and Boulevard, on that side of the Mexican restaurant?
Yeah. Yeah. Right before you get down to the apartment, it was Thomas's Groceries, and I worked there for like 13 years because, you know, I was living over in at that time, me and Carl was. next door to my mom. And I'd still be over there if my mom hadn't wanted to move in with my brother. And it made me mad because I didn't want to move from over there. I wanted to live there till I died.
No.
I tell anybody I loved it over there. And we wasn't poor, trashy people. Some people say Cabbage Town. Well, you know what? But when I was growing up, it was called Fulton Cotton Mill Village. And I don't know. And my mama was 97 years old when she died about 4 or 5 years back. She said, ain't no truck or no rail car ever turned over there, and nobody go out there and get cabbage and start cooking it. That was just a way of life that people ate a lot of cabbage, and we ate a lot of greens. We had food that was good for us, that our parents cooked for us.
Which is probably why y'all have lived so long and healthy lives,
Yeah, we didn't have bunches of junk, We didn't have peas and stuff like that, Yeah. We had vegetables. 7 days, well, now let me take that back. On Saturday, we'd either have hot dogs or hamburgers or maybe fish, Just what the daddy said, this is y'all's day, and then have what you want.
Oh.
But then from Sundays through, we had vegetables. My mama cooked on Sundays.
Wow.
We cooked 6 days a week.
And when you were in the mill, you didn't even have time to eat there? So you would...
I didn't have time to eat, because you know what, had you ever went into a cotton mill, Jake?
No, ma'am.
You never did go into one?
Not a working cotton mill, no.
Not a working. Well, Louise's shop is like, it's got a shuttle on it. And that thing's going so fast. The Bible says something about the weaver's shuttle in the Bible. That thing, if it jumped and it hit you, it would probably have killed you, But that was hard work. And you could not I had like 50, I had 100 loom. I had 50 on lino and 50 on fine. And the fine would kick out and the lino would run out. So you couldn't let them run out because the weavers would cut you out. So, me and my brother, everybody in our family worked there. All but Floyd. Now, he worked 4 days and he come out of there. And he went and got him another job. And he couldn't stand it because he then had asthma,
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't stand that cotton mill, that lint.
No, all the lint in the air.
And then blow-off boys. I was like 18 when I first went to work up there. And I had real long dark hair and everything. And they would blow that lint right into my hair and face. And I looked like I was gray-headed back there in them days. It looked aggravate me. I said, you better blow that out of my hair instead into my hair. I had some good times over there. Good times over there. Real good times. I wish my kids could have lived it.
Yeah.
I've told them stories about things, and we just had a good time. We just, because nobody had cars over there but the bootleggers, and and we get to play out in the street and, play 1, 2, 3 red light and hopscotch, and Grandma would bring us chalk out of the mill, and we'd make us a hopscotch there on the sidewalk, but we would have to wash it off before we went to bed at night. You couldn't leave.
You couldn't leave your hopscotch court out there?
No, I wouldn't let that chalk be out there in front of the house. My mama was a very, very clean person. You could eat off her floors almost. Telling you.
Wow.
For her to be
So
sick,
you were the one washing those floors every weekend.
yeah, mopped a lot of floors and scrubbed that front porch too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Mama was sick, you know. She had that psoriasis. I know you heard of that skin disease.
Mm,
and
yeah.
there'd be times that she couldn't even cook for us. And, you know, our grandmas would come before we got big enough to cook, you know. And they would come and cook for us. And then Daddy would cook our breakfast before we went to school. You know, before he went to work in the mill, he would fix the grits and everything. All we'd have to do is eat them up. We had a good life, but it was kind of, I tell you what, I had a fun life because I had a lot of friends. You know, like the Littleses and all them, you know, they lived next, my grandma and grandpa lived next door to the Littleses, so we would just sit up there and we could step, Jake, from my grandma's front porch over to the Littleses, and you know how high that is up there where the Littleses house is.
Yeah.
And we never fell, we would have killed ourselves, but you know, back then we would take chances and do stuff like that, but we always had a good time.
Oh.
I wish kids could experience some of the stuff that we did, like go out to Grant Park and dance at the roundhouse, and you know, we got to swim free from 9 to 12 and rowing the boats over there. They had a lake, and you know, there's so many things, Jake, that we had fun doing. And didn't cost us no money. And the theater wasn't but a nickel. We could go to the theater for a nickel or either Capitol token.
That was the one on Memorial there? Is it?
Uh-huh.
Was it
either one.
Fairview? Or?
Fairview.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Fairview. Or either, well, you could go to the Temple or the Madison in East Atlanta and the Temple on Cherokee. Any of them for a nickel. And then when you become a patrol at school, you could go to the Fox Theater on Saturday and get in free because you was a patrol officer, you know. That was
your reward for being a patrol officer.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we got to go every Saturday to the theater.
Yeah, now I could barely. I mean, going to the movies is expensive now.
I'm telling you, you know what? I've been wanting to go see that. I want to see that movie with who is it, Rhonda? That we want to go and see that movie. The Star Is Born. The remake of The Star Is Born.
I hear it's really good.
I heard it was too. And see, I remember seeing the first one that was made, but you know, since I've been grown, seen them all. But they said this is really good.
Yeah,
but I said I don't believe it could be no better than the one with Chris Christopher and Barbara Streisand.
Well, Barbara Streisand has one of the most beautiful voices, but I hear Lady Gaga.
They say it's good. They said it's wonderful.
That's right.
And Ryan Reynolds said that she was a star, you know, in the movie book. He said she is a star.
So that's, Nina and I were talking about going to see that too. We haven't had a chance yet either. But
no, we'll figure out. Rhonda Adams' mama works 5 days a week. Now, she just come in when she called you from her job, and she left this morning at 7 o'clock.
Ooh. Well, we gotta scrape up a couple of nickels and go see a movie, man.
I'm telling you, I really want to see that.
Yeah, we should all go. That would be fun. We got to figure that out. Well, thank you so very, very much. I really appreciate this. Anytime y'all are, you're willing to talk to us about these kinds of things. And I love your stories. I love you. And I look forward to, I mean, if you are back around Cabbagetown again, one of these weekends, we'll come on by, We just love to hang out. Hello? Margaret? I don't know. Hello? Uh-oh. I think we may have been cut off at the very end there.